Okay, let's unpack this. There's a story really dominating headlines right now. It's a whirlwind of surprising details, frankly, and it raises some really important questions about, the relentless pressures of fame and maybe the often hidden realities of mental health. We're talking about the multi-Grammy winning artist Lil Nas X.
Indeed. And what's often overlooked, I think, in these rapid fire news cycles is the broader human context. We see the dramatic events, but the why and the what now,
Yeah.
well, they're far more complex. Today, we really want to go beyond just the surface, look for those deeper insights.
Absolutely. You've shared a stack of sources. We've got The Sun, Billboard, NBC News, CNN, AP, a whole range. And our mission today is really to sift through these reports. We want to piece together a clear timeline, understand the allegations around his recent arrest and hospitalization, and critically explore the lead up and that broader context that might shed some much needed light on what's truly going on for this incredibly influential artist. Consider this your shortcut, maybe, to truly understanding the narrative, not just the headlines. So let's start with the incident itself, the one that first broke the news. It was early Thursday morning, August 21st, 2025, out in Los Angeles.
Right. Specifically, the reports pinpoint the location to the 11,000 block of Ventura Boulevard. That's Studio City, North Hollywood area.
And the scene that unfolded was, well, to put it mildly, quite unusual.
That specific time, pre-dawn hours in the public setting, that's crucial. It's often when vulnerabilities are highest, and when public figures, despite these managed personas they have, can sometimes be seen in moments of, well, unscripted distress.
Exactly. So around 4 a.m., a witness claimed to hear Lil Nas X, who's 26, talking about a party. He reportedly told some driver, "Don't be late to the party, and you know where it's at."
Okay.
Then he apparently urged the driver to move away, saying, "Didn't I tell you to put the phone down?"
Mm-hmm.
But here's where the visual details really grabbed attention. The music star was reportedly seen wearing just white underwear and white cowboy boots. That's according to footage obtained by TMZ.
Yeah, and it's particularly telling how those immediate, striking visual details often become the defining image, right? In the public consciousness, they sometimes overshadow the underlying issues. For an artist like Lil Nas X, whose brand is often built on shocking, deliberate visuals,
Right.
this public display immediately bold the lines. It left many wondering, was this a performance or a genuine cry for help? That ambiguity itself creates a potent, if distressing, public narrative.
And it gets even more bizarre. Witnesses also claimed he put an orange traffic cone on his head.
Wow.
Yeah. Video showed him dancing and strutting down the street, mimicking dance moves, posing for onlookers. It sounds like something ripped from a music video. But tragically, it seems it was all too real.
Mm-hmm.
All of this led to the police being called to the scene shortly before 6 a.m., around 5:03 or 5:50 a.m., after reports of a naked man, or, well, a man in just his underwear, roaming the streets.
And that's where the situation shifted, didn't it? It went rapidly from maybe a public spectacle to a critical incident. The police intervention introduced a whole new layer of severity.
That's right. Upon officers' arrival, police allege Lil Nas X charged at officers, and he was swiftly taken into custody.
Okay.
Sources confirm he was handcuffed, arrested on suspicion of battery on a police officer. One law enforcement source, speaking to NBC News, went further, stating he actually punched an officer twice in the face during the encounter.
Wow. That's serious.
Very serious. And he was also placed under arrest for a misdemeanor offense of obstructing an officer.
This is a critical pivot point. What maybe began as erratic public behavior quickly escalated into serious legal charges. And it's important to remember, like you said, those initial reports. Some speculated, could this be some elaborate PR stunt, given his history of courting controversy?
Exactly.
But multiple sources quickly confirmed, no, this was a genuine arrest and a deeply concerning incident, not some calculated performance. The severity of the charges, especially battery on an officer, that really underscores the reality of the situation.
Definitely. And then, after his arrest, officers transported him to a local hospital. This was over fears he had suffered a possible overdose, which is, an immediate and serious concern that rightly guided their actions.
Right, and this specific detail really highlights the immense challenge first responders face in these situations. A law enforcement source noted officers were unsure whether he was on any substances or in mental distress. That distinction is incredibly important.
It really is.
When someone's exhibiting behavior like that, it's a critical, often immediate assessment for officers. Are we dealing with a medical emergency from substances, a mental health crisis, or maybe a combination? Their response shifts dramatically based on that initial, very difficult read of the situation.
Exactly. And interestingly, despite those concerns, He was released from the hospital after just a few hours.
Hmm.
So what's his legal standing now after all this? Lil Nas X, legal name Montero Lamar Hill, was booked at the LAPD Valley Jail in Van Nuys at 11:22 a.m. The LAPD stated unequivocally he cannot be cited out, meaning it is mandatory that he appears before a judge before he is released.
So no quick release.
So his bail hearing is currently set for Monday, August 25th. So this isn't going away quickly. Now, the morning's events alone are startling, right? But they gain a profoundly different resonance when we zoom out. This wasn't just an isolated incident. It feels like a chapter in a much longer, more complex story of an artist navigating, well, unprecedented pressures. We have to look at the months, maybe even years, leading up to this moment, because the context here is everything.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can start to see maybe a recurring pattern of public and private challenges. For an artist who, on the surface, has always appeared so confident, so in control, so adept at navigating the media, this series of events, when you look at them collectively, it paints a picture of growing strain.
It really does. Just one day before this incident, Lil Nas X had completely cleared his Instagram page, wiped it clean.
Oh, wow.
Then he changed his name on the app to Queen Madeline and started repopulating it with a series of what reports called odd posts, including himself posing in various costumes.
Queen Madeline.
Yeah. At the same time, he was also teasing new music.
Yeah.
Collaborators like Young Keo, Lil Jon, Sexy Red, Saucy Santana. So this flurry of activity, this sudden shift in his online persona right before the arrest, it adds another layer. What do you make of that kind of sudden digital transformation?
Well, it's particularly telling, isn't it? For an artist whose identity and career are so tightly interwoven with his meticulously crafted social media presence, a sudden drastic change like that rebranding as Queen Madeline, posting odd posts, it could be interpreted in a few ways. It could be a highly visible symptom of distress, maybe a fracturing of that carefully constructed public persona under immense pressure, or maybe more cynically, a desperate, perhaps even subconscious attempt to re-engage an audience by creating a new spectacle. Even if it arises from genuine struggle, it's hard to untangle, and that's precisely what makes it so concerning.
And this isn't the first sign of struggle we've seen recently. Back in February of this year, The Sun reported that Lil Nas X had sacked his manager, Adam Lieber.
Right, I remember that.
He openly admitted he was all over the place and said in an online video that these last few years were pretty difficult for me. That kind of candidness from an artist known for his vibrant, almost invincible public persona, it's quite telling. It felt like a moment of vulnerability he chose to share.
It truly is. A manager change in the music industry, that can be a monumental event. It often signals deep professional or maybe personal dissatisfaction. When an artist admits to being all over the place and acknowledges difficult years, it points to a significant internal struggle that's now spilling into his professional life. It's a stark reminder that even at the pinnacle of success, the human element of an artist, their emotional, their mental well-being is constantly challenged. The pressure to maintain that success and to constantly reinvent, it can be immense.
He even posted a TikTok video saying he was in his flop era after seemingly going unnoticed in New York. This phrase, flop era, it became a viral meme itself, but it suggests maybe a certain level of self-awareness, perhaps even a public cry for attention, or just expressing a genuine feeling of being overwhelmed.
That flop era comment, yeah, while delivered with his characteristic humor, it's fascinating. In this hyper-connected, always-on world of social media, where artists are expected to constantly engage, constantly go viral, the pressure to maintain relevance is just enormous. What Lil Nas X describes there. It might be a manifestation of what psychologists call performance anxiety, or maybe burnout, exacerbated by those parasocial relationships built with millions of followers who expect a constant stream of content and personality. The fear of becoming unnoticed in such a high-stakes environment can be debilitating, even for an artist of his stature.
And the personal struggles don't stop there, extending beyond the mental and professional. Back in April 2025, he sparked significant concern after being hospitalized for partial facial paralysis.
Yes, that was concerning.
He shared a clip from his hospital bed, revealing he had lost control of the right side of his face and was struggling to do a full smile. He even said, and this is a quote, it's like, "What the flock? I can't even laugh right, bro." That sounds incredibly distressing, especially for someone whose charisma and visual expression are so central.
Absolutely. Imagine, just for a moment, being an artist whose entire brand is built on charisma, on visual boldness, on that infectious smile, and then suddenly losing control of half your face. It's not just a physical ailment, it's almost an identity crisis playing out in the public eye. It's almost a metaphor for the fracturing pressures of fame itself.
That's a powerful way to put it.
He later updated fans he was recovering, could move most of his face, though no specific diagnosis was ever shared, as far as I know. But this physical manifestation of stress, or maybe an underlying condition, it speaks volumes about the toll these pressures can take on the body, not just the mind. It's another data point in what looks like a clear pattern.
And this isn't entirely new territory for him either, talking about struggles.
Yeah.
Is it? Back in 2020, he spoke quite openly to Variety about the difficulties he'd endured since becoming famous, including the profound losses of fellow artists and his grandmother back in 2018.
Right, and this is where we start to see maybe the deeper roots of his current struggles. He admitted in that Variety interview that these experiences made him a hypochondriac, his word, and that he started smoking weed heavily as a way to self-medicate. He felt it made him, quote, more connected with the universe and taking everything as a sign. This gives us a really important window into his coping mechanisms, or maybe self-medication strategies, and the profound psychological impact of his rapid, almost overnight rise to global fame. It suggests a long-standing vulnerability that's now under intense pressure.
It's a powerful and candid admission, and it resonates deeply with these recent events, doesn't it? The notion of self-medicating, whether consciously or not, to cope with stress, grief, the bewildering speed of fame. It connects pretty directly to those possible overdose concerns we heard from the LAPD just days ago. It suggests a potential continuous struggle with substance use, or at least maybe a reliance on substances, to navigate these overwhelming feelings.
Precisely. It feels like a thread running through his narrative. It highlights that these behaviors are often, though not always, a response to underlying pain or anxiety. For someone who has experienced such rapid, intense fame coupled with personal loss, finding healthy coping mechanisms can be incredibly difficult, especially when you're constantly in the public eye. Every decision, every struggle gets magnified.
Yet despite all these very public and personal challenges, it's worth noting he is still expected to release his sleek and studio album Dream Boy later this year. He already released a single with the same title back in March. And it's noted for, poking fun at his sexuality and taking swipes at homophobic detractors. So, even amidst what appears to be personal turmoil, his artistic output continues, and with his characteristic boldness.
And this is a crucial paradox, isn't it? Even as his personal life seems to be in disarray, his creative engine continues to run. And with the same thematic courage that defined his earlier work. Dream Boy, poking fun at his sexuality, challenging homophobia. It reminds us of the core of his artistic identity. It raises the question, is his art a form of therapy for him, a way to channel his struggles? Or does the pressure to constantly create and perform also contribute to his overall distress? It's likely a complex relationship between creation and personal well-being.
So what does this all mean when we reflect on the artist he is and the incredible impact he's had? These recent events certainly paint a complex and at times pretty heartbreaking picture. It forces us to reevaluate maybe the shiny facade of celebrity.
It really does. It raises an important question. For someone who has broken so many barriers, who has redefined what's possible in music and culture, how do we reconcile their profound public struggles with their immense artistic achievements? It forces us, I think, to look beyond the headlines and appreciate the full scope of their journey, recognizing that groundbreaking success often comes with an equally profound, often hidden cost.
Right. Let's just take a brief look back. Lil Nas X, Montero Lamar Hill, burst onto the scene in 2018. His track, Old Town Road, it was an absolute phenomenon. Spent a record 19 weeks at the top of the Billboard Hot 100.
19 weeks, still incredible.
It's a truly historic, unprecedented run. It fundamentally reshaped what was considered possible in popular music.
And the accolades kept coming. He picked up 2 Grammy Awards in 2020, Best Music Video, Best Pop Duo Group Performance. Nominated for other major categories in 2022, Song of the Year, Record of the Year, Album of the Year. He's known for that genre-bending sound, his innovative style, his consistent willingness to court controversy and push boundaries. And critically, he's also recognized as the first openly gay man to receive a Country Music Association award. His impact on culture, especially for the LGBTQ plus community, is just undeniable, which makes his current struggles feel all the more poignant. He carries the weight, maybe, of representing so much for so many.
It's definitely a lot to consider When an artist as significant as Lil Nas X faces such a public and profoundly challenging moment. You've got the immediate events of that chaotic morning, but then, like we discussed, you look at the recent past, and it adds so many layers of understanding to what might truly be going on beneath the surface of this incredibly talented yet clearly struggling individual.
Indeed. This entire deep dive, from the morning's frankly bewildering events to his past disclosures about mental health, about self-medication, it really underlines the profound and relentless pressures that come with global fame. It invites us all to think deeply about the complexities of mental well-being when every single aspect of your life is under a microscope. And the public expects this constant level of performance, confidence, perfection. It's a potent reminder that success, especially at that level, doesn't inoculate you from human struggles. It often amplifies them.
All of this makes us wonder then, what responsibility do we, as consumers of media, as fans of artists, have in approaching these situations with empathy, rather than just judgment or, sensationalism? And how can we maybe better support public figures who are struggling with their mental health, moving beyond the spectacle to truly acknowledge the human behind the headlines? Something to mull over as you reflect on this deep dive.